Billionaire finds crying black waitress with a child at his brother's grave. The truth leaves her in tears. Hey, Fiction of the Peace family. Before we turn the page on today's powerful story, leave a comment below. Where are you tuning in from today? Not part of the family yet? Hit that subscribe button and walk with us through tales of love, healing, and redemption. Now, let's start. The cool wind blew through the old oak trees in Willow Creek Cemetery. The wind smelled like wet ground and old leaves. Grayson Hale stood very still. He wore a neat navy blue shirt that fit him well. His dark hair was combed nicely, and his face looked sad. He was 32 years old and the boss of a big company called Hale Industries. Even though he looked strong, Grayson had a heavy heart. He had lost someone very special to him. His sharp brown eyes, which usually looked very serious at work, were now soft as he looked at a name on a cold white stone. The name was Rowan Hale. That was his big brother. 5 years ago, Rowan had died in a strange car crash, but Grayson still missed him a lot. He came today to put white lilies on the grave and spend a quiet moment remembering his brother. But Grayson wasn't alone. As he stepped closer to the grave, he heard a soft crying sound. It was a sad sob. He looked up and saw someone he didn't know. A young black woman was kneeling in front of the same grave. Her name was Naomi Rivers. She had long, straight hair tied back nicely. She wore a white shirt and a black skirt. Tears ran down her cheeks. In her arms, she held a little boy who looked about 6 years old. The boy had messy blonde hair that shone in the sunlight. He was holding on to Naomi tightly, his face buried in her shoulder. But then the boy turned and looked at Grayson. Grayson gasped. The boy's eyes were bright green, just like Rowan's. They looked the same, and it made Grayson feel shocked and confused. "What? Who are you?" Grayson asked. His voice was deep, surprised, and maybe a little angry. He stepped closer. The flowers in his hand almost slipped. Naomi looked up quickly. Her eyes were red from crying, but she looked strong. She stood up slowly, still holding the boy. Later, Grayson would learn that the boy's name was Leo. Naomi held Leo close, like she was protecting him from a stranger. The boy looked at Grayson again. Those green eyes made Grayson feel like the past was coming back. "Why does this child look like my brother?" Grayson thought. "I'm Naomi Rivers," she said softly but clearly, wiping a tear from her face. "And this is Leo." She didn't say anything more. She just stood there and looked Grayson in the eye. Grayson's jaw got tight. His face became serious, like when he was in an important meeting. He tried to push away the strange feeling inside him. He told himself this was just someone who didn't belong there. "This is a private place," he said coldly. "You shouldn't be here." But even as he said it, he felt unsure. The boy's eyes, they felt like a message he didn't understand yet. Naomi didn't back down. "I come here every month," she said. Her voice shook a little, but she was brave. "It's important." She fixed Leo's hair gently, and Grayson saw her hands were shaking. The quiet cemetery felt even quieter. A church bell rang far away. It made everything feel more serious. Grayson's brain was spinning. Who was this woman? Why did she bring a child with eyes like Rowan's? The lilies he brought suddenly felt heavy in his hand. Without another word, Grayson turned and walked quickly to his black car. He was upset, but more than that, he was curious. The boy's eyes wouldn't leave his mind. He sat in his car, fingers tapping on the steering wheel, thinking hard. He looked back and saw Naomi still by the grave. Leo stood next to her like a small shadow. Then Grayson had an idea. It was a sneaky and serious idea. He opened his glove box and took out a small plastic bag. Because of his work, he was used to dealing with secret things. He decided he would come back and try to take a piece of the boy's hair. That would help him find out the truth. The next evening, Grayson came back to the cemetery. It was even quieter now. The sun was going down, making long shadows across the ground. Naomi was there again, her hair tied back just like before, but her face looked even sadder. Leo was playing near the grave, kicking leaves. He wore a hoodie that moved as he ran. Grayson walked toward them, trying to look more friendly this time. His shirt collar was open so he wouldn't look too strict. "I owe you an apology," Grayson said softly, watching Leo. The boy looked up, his green eyes glowing in the light. As Leo walked past him, Grayson quickly and quietly grabbed a single blonde hair and put it in the bag without anyone noticing. Naomi looked at him, her eyes narrowing like she knew something was wrong. But she didn't say anything. She just held Leo closer. "We're leaving soon," she said firmly. Grayson nodded and walked back to his car. His heart was beating fast. He had what he needed, a piece of hair. Now he could do a DNA test to find out if Leo was really related to Rowan. 2 days later, Grayson sat in a quiet lab room. The lights above him were very bright. His shirt was wrinkled because he didn't sleep much. He held a sealed envelope in his hands. Inside was the result of the test. His heart was pounding. He thought about the green eyes again. They looked just like Rowan's. Grayson opened the envelope. The paper made a crinkling sound. He read the words slowly. 99.9% match. Leo is Rowan Hale's blood relative. Grayson's face changed. Anger rushed through him. He crushed the paper in his hand. He was right. The green eyes weren't a mistake. Leo really was part of the Hale family. He left the lab in a hurry, walking fast with his fists clenched. His mind was spinning. He thought of Naomi. She worked so hard and dressed simply in her waitress uniform. Could she really raise a child who was part of his powerful family? Later that day, Grayson went to Belle's Diner. It was a small restaurant on the edge of town. A bell rang as he walked in. Naomi stood behind the counter. Her white blouse was clean, even though she had worked a long shift. She looked tired, but when she saw Grayson, her eyes opened wide. "We need to talk," Grayson said seriously. His voice was low and firm. He pointed to a quiet table in the corner. Naomi looked at him, holding a coffee pot. She waited a moment, then nodded and walked toward the booth. Even though she was tired, she still moved with grace. Leo wasn't there, and Grayson felt two things at once, relieved and upset. As he sat down in the booth, his nice clean shirt looked too fancy for the old diner's torn seats. On the table, there was a paper that proved something very big. Leo was family. "Leo is Rowan's son," Grayson said coldly. "You can't take care of him. You have 2 jobs and live in a tiny apartment. I'm going to take him." Naomi's eyes flashed with anger. Her dark hair was tied back neatly as she leaned forward. "You don't get to decide that," she said, her voice strong even though her hands shook a little. Then Naomi told Grayson a story that made him stop and think. Sierra Hale, Leo's real mother, was the daughter of Grayson's aunt Celeste. Celeste was mean to Sierra. She didn't like that Sierra fell in love with Rowan, who was Grayson's brother. When Sierra became pregnant with Leo, Celeste got very angry. She made Sierra leave the family and go far away. Rowan was so sad that he died in a car crash 6 months later. Sierra had to raise Leo all alone. But when she got very sick with cancer, she asked her best friend Naomi to take care of Leo. Sierra made Naomi promise to love and protect him. Naomi had worked very hard ever since, 2 jobs and lots of hours every week to raise Leo. Grayson's face looked tight as he listened. He couldn't believe what he was hearing, but he didn't trust Naomi fully yet. "This sounds like a made-up story to take our family name," he said, angrily pulling out his checkbook. "I'll give you $250,000 if you just walk away. That's more than you'll ever make working here." Naomi laughed, but not because it was funny. Her brown eyes were shining with anger. "I don't sell children," she said, "and I won't sell the last piece of Sierra I have left." Then she stood up. Her waitress apron made a soft sound as she walked away, leaving Grayson staring at the check, which he hadn't signed. It tasted bitter in his mouth. That night, in his tall city apartment, Grayson couldn't sleep. Lights from the buildings outside glowed through the big windows as he walked back and forth in his office. The story Naomi told stayed in his mind. He needed to find the truth. So, he hired a private investigator, a man who was very good at finding out secrets. Soon, the investigator brought back a report. Sierra really had lived in poverty, just as Naomi said. Her medical papers showed she really had cancer. Naomi had no money and worked very hard to take care of Leo. There was no sign of lying or tricks, only love and sacrifice. A few days later, Grayson came back to the diner. This time, he left his top shirt button open, trying to show he wasn't here to fight. Naomi brought him coffee. Her hair was tied back just like before. Her face looked calm, but careful. "I checked your story," Grayson said softly, "but I still have questions. Who was Sierra to Rowan?" Naomi looked down, then up again. Her eyes were strong. "She was his heart," she said, "and Leo is the proof you can't ignore." Grayson left the diner with a new mission. He no longer wanted to take Leo. He wanted to find out what had really happened in the past. Leo's blood told a story, and Grayson needed to hear all of it. Back in his apartment, Gray opened a secret part of his desk. Rowan had shown it to him long ago. Inside was an envelope with Rowan's writing, for Grayson only in case of need. Grayson's heart beat faster. He opened it. Inside was a letter in Rowan's shaky handwriting. "If you find Naomi or Leo, don't let Mother destroy them like she destroyed me." Grayson turned pale. His own mother, Celeste, had done something very wrong. She had broken up Sierra and Rowan and maybe caused his brother's death. Grayson felt pain in his chest and knew he had to act fast. The next morning he met Isla, a smart and brave journalist. She had once tried to find out the truth about Rowan's death, but was stopped. Grayson found her in a quiet cafe. Isla listened to Grayson's story. She nodded slowly. "Your mother paid doctors to hide the truth," Isla said. "Sierra didn't want an abortion, so Celeste kicked her out. Rowan's crash was strange. I think it wasn't an accident." Grayson clenched his jaw. It all made sense now. Celeste had hurt a lot of people, maybe even killed her own son. Grayson went back to Naomi's apartment. She opened the door wearing a plain white shirt. Her hair was still neat. On her table were lots of papers that belonged to Sierra. Grayson offered to help her sort them. As they worked, Grayson found a little leather notebook. He opened it slowly and saw Sierra's handwriting. "If Rowan were alive, he'd hold our son every night. I have no strength left. Naomi will be the mother I can't be." Grayson felt tears sting his eyes. He looked at Naomi, who was sorting bills nearby. She wasn't the enemy. She had done everything Sierra asked. She was the only family Leo had. That night, Grayson called Isla again. "Keep digging," he said. "Find out if my mother had something to do with Rowan's crash." A few hours later, I sent him a photo. It showed someone being paid to fix Rowan's car before the crash. It had been tampered with. Grayson's hands shook. His mother had blood on her hands. Leo's green eyes were proof of a story Celeste wanted to keep buried. The next day, Grayson went back to Naomi's home. He looked tired, his shirt wrinkled. Naomi opened the door, curious. Leo was nearby, playing in a blue hoodie. "I found this," Grayson said, handing her Rowan's letter. Naomi read it, her eyes filled with tears. "He knew," she whispered. "Rowan knew we'd come." Grayson nodded. "I won't let anything happen to you. I'll protect you both." Naomi looked into his eyes. "Why?" she asked. "Because I owe him," Grayson said, "and because Leo deserves to know the truth about his father." The choice was clear now. Grayson would face Celeste. He had Rowan's letter and Sierra's journal. The Hale family had built their power with lies, but the truth was stronger. Leo's green eyes stayed in Grayson's mind. He wasn't just a child. He was the truth, living, breathing, shining bright. The next morning, soft sunlight came through the blinds in Naomi's apartment. Grayson stood by the window. His dark hair glowed in the light. He still wore his navy shirt, but now he looked different. He wasn't just the rich Hale man anymore. He was someone who cared. Leo, in his blue hoodie, stretched and woke up on the couch. His green eyes blinked at Grayson, full of curiosity. Grayson smiled gently. He made a promise in his heart. Weeks passed. Grayson made a big decision. He left his fancy apartment and moved into a small rental near Naomi's place. He stopped wearing suits and wore cozy sweaters instead. One afternoon, Grayson sat with Leo at the kitchen table. It was old and wobbly, but warm. Leo held a crayon and tried to draw a violin. His blonde hair fell over his eyes as he smiled. Rowan loved playing the violin. It was her favorite instrument. Grayson, with his deep voice, would often tell stories about their brother. He would smile when he remembered Leo's happy giggles. Leo was a little boy with bright green eyes. One day, Naomi stood in the doorway. Her long, straight hair was tied back nicely, and her white shirt had some flour on it because she had been baking. She looked at Grayson and Leo playing and smiling together, and her brown eyes felt warm. It looked like a little family picture. One rainy night, Leo got very sick with a fever. Naomi looked worried, her hair now a little messy from rushing around. She gently put a cool cloth on Leo's forehead. Grayson, who used to act cold, now had his sleeves rolled up. He gave Leo medicine and made him some warm tea. As Leo started to feel better and breathe normally, Naomi looked at Grayson. Their eyes met, and she felt thankful. The room became very quiet, and Grayson's face came close to hers. She felt his warm breath near her cheek, and her lips opened a little. But then she stepped back and whispered, "Don't think I love you just because I'm thankful. I've been hurt before." Grayson's brown eyes looked sad, but he nodded and said quietly, "I didn't know how to love until now." Then he walked away, leaving his words in the air. But the peace didn't last. A dark problem was coming. One morning, a fancy black car stopped outside Naomi's apartment. A man in a suit got out and gave her a serious letter. It was from the people who ran Hale Industries. They told Grayson he must stay away from Leo if he wanted to keep his job and the company's good name. Grayson's jaw got tight, and his face looked angry. He crumpled the letter. That evening, he found Naomi in the kitchen. She was wearing her white blouse again, her hair still tied back, and she was looking at legal papers to keep Leo safe. Grayson said in a low voice, "They're putting pressure on me, but I'm not leaving you." Naomi looked into his eyes, trying to see if he meant it. "Then prove it," she said, handing him more papers. They worked late into the night. The clock ticked as they got ready for a fight they didn't fully understand yet. The next day, Leo was feeling better. He pulled Grayson into the living room and asked for a violin lesson. Grayson helped him hold the violin and moved his small fingers on the strings. Naomi watched from the couch. Her blouse was clean again, and she smiled, a real smile. It was the first real smile Grayson had seen from her. Then Naomi's phone rang. It was a call from a number she didn't know. She answered and her face turned pale. When she hung up, she said, "Celeste's lawyer, she's trying to take Leo away." Grayson's fists clenched. He remembered Rowan's will and how Celeste had done bad things. "We'll fight," he said. His voice was strong. But that night, something changed between them. Naomi was walking around the small living room. Her hair swung as she walked. She said, "What if you change your mind? What if the board wins?" Her brown eyes looked scared. She remembered how people had let her down before. Grayson stood close to her, his sweater brushing against her arm. "I've already lost too much. I can't lose you or Leo too," he said, looking right at her. Naomi nodded, but she still looked unsure. She wanted to believe him, but her heart was still scared. The next day, Grayson went to see the board. He wore a clean navy shirt and looked strong and calm. "Leo is my family," he said loudly. "I will not leave him." Some of the people didn't like it, but Grayson didn't care. He had made up his mind. Later, he went back to Naomi's home. She was teaching Leo math. Her long hair shone in the light. The three of them looked like a little family. Grayson felt more sure than ever that he wanted to stay. But Celeste was powerful and a big court battle was coming. The day of the court hearing came. The room was big and quiet. Sunlight came through the windows and made shadows on the shiny wood seats. Grayson sat in the front row, his dark hair brushed nicely, his navy shirt clean and stiff. He looked calm on the outside, but inside he was nervous. Naomi sat beside him. Her white blouse looked neat. Her hair was tied back. She held a folder in her lap. Leo, dressed in a tiny blue suit, sat next to her. His green eyes were big and a little scared. He held Naomi's hand tightly. Everyone waited. Naomi and Grayson had become like a family, but now Celeste wanted to take Leo away. The judge was a serious man with gray hair. He hit his gavel, bang, and the court began. Celeste's lawyer stood up first. He wore a fancy striped suit and talked smoothly. He said bad things about Naomi. He said she was just a poor black waitress who wanted the Hale family's money. Some people whispered in the courtroom. Grayson's fists clenched and his face got hard. Then Celeste's plan went to the news. Outside the court, TV screens showed headlines like, "Scandal May Destroy Hale Legacy." Naomi looked hurt, but she sat up straight. She was strong. Leo held her hand even tighter. He didn't understand everything, but he knew he didn't want to lose her. Then it was Naomi's turn. Her aunt Miriam walked forward. She was a smart law teacher and looked brave. She looked at everyone and held up Rowan's will. The paper shook a little as she read, "Protect Naomi and Leo from Celeste." Everyone got quiet. Then Miriam showed Sierra's journal. It was old, but it talked about how much Sierra loved Rowan and wanted Naomi to raise Leo. The other lawyer didn't like it, but Miriam showed a video from a tired doctor. He told the court how Sierra trusted Naomi before she died. All the truth became like a wall protecting Naomi and Leo. Then the biggest moment came. Leo was called to the front. His little suit was a bit messy. He looked at Naomi and said with a shaky voice, "Mommy Naomi is the only one I remember." The courtroom gasped. Grayson's heart felt full. His eyes had tears. He stood up and asked to talk. The judge said yes. Grayson walked forward and said, "If you think I can run a big company, then listen to this. Naomi is the best mother I've ever seen. Leo is happy with her. I will always be by their side." The room was silent. It was clear Grayson had chosen Naomi and Leo over his old life. Celeste's lawyer tried to fight back. He showed papers saying Naomi didn't have a lot of money, but Miriam spoke again. She showed Grayson's signed paper. He gave up being Leo's father just to help Naomi win custody. He only wanted to be Leo's uncle and helper. The judge thought for a long time. Everyone waited. Then the gavel came down again. Bang! The judge said, "Naomi Rivers is now Leo's legal guardian." His voice was clear and strong. Naomi hugged Leo tight. Her hair moved as she cried happy tears. Grayson smiled and his face looked soft and kind. But Celeste still looked angry. She wasn't done. Outside, reporters took pictures. Naomi held Leo close. Her white blouse was wrinkled, but she didn't care. Grayson stood next to them, his navy shirt like a flag of support. Miriam joined them and gave a proud nod. That night, back at Naomi's apartment, a letter arrived. It was from Celeste's lawyers again. She was going to fight them more. Naomi read the letter. Her brown eyes got serious. Her hair caught the light from the lamp. "She's not going to stop," she said. Grayson, rolling up his sleeves as he put away legal papers, placed his hand on her shoulder. "Neither will we," he said. His voice was calm but strong like steel. The crack between them from before had become smaller. Naomi wasn't scared anymore that Grayson might change his mind. But the fight was not over yet. The next day, Grayson met Isla Bennett. Her long, dark hair was a little messy from a busy day. She gave Grayson some papers. "Celeste is trying to find something bad about us," Isla said. She showed him secret papers that told about the bad things Hale Industries had done. Bribes, lies, and hidden stories. Rowan had found these before she died. Grayson's head was full of thoughts. The will and Rowan's journal were now tools in a bigger fight. Later, Grayson went back to Naomi's house. She was teaching little Leo how to play the violin. Her white blouse was clean again. Leo's bright green eyes were focused on the strings. That moment, with Naomi and Leo together, felt like a small, happy family. Grayson stood there, quietly watching. He knew he wanted to protect them, but deep inside, he knew that Celeste still had power. She could come back and try to destroy everything again. Winning in court was only the beginning. There was still a big fight ahead. The sun was setting and the sky was golden. The lake near their house was calm and the wind was soft. Grace and Hale stood on the porch of their cozy home in Connecticut. His dark hair moved gently in the wind. He wore a navy blue shirt with the top buttons open. He looked different now, stronger, kinder, and wiser after all they had been through. The courtroom had given Naomi the right to take care of Leo. It had been a very hard fight, but they had won. Still, the memories of Celeste's mean appeal still stayed with them. But now by the big garden and peaceful lake, it felt like a new beginning. Naomi walked out of the house. Her long hair was tied back. She wore a soft green dress that looked like the trees and grass around her. Leo, now 7 years old, ran across the yard in his blue hoodie. His blonde hair shone in the sunlight, and his green eyes sparkled with joy. He was finally a happy boy. Their new home was built with love, not money or fame. It stood strong even though Hale Industries had fallen. After the courtroom win, Grayson left the company for good. His face showed how serious he was. He started a new group to help single moms go to school and learn. Naomi, with her kind brown eyes, started the Sierra and Rowan Foundation. She wanted to help women like her best friend Rowan, who had passed away. The court had given back the money that was stolen from Sierra's family, and that money was now used for Leo's future. The lake house had big windows and wooden beams. It showed that they had won not just a case, but a chance at a better life. Inside, the house was full of joy. Leo's birthday party was happening. He held a violin in his little hands and played a tune. It wasn't perfect, but it came from his heart. It was a gift from Grayson. Friends and guests laughed and smiled. Miriam was there with her strong voice and Isla with her smart ideas. Their dark hair and bright smiles made the room warm. Naomi walked around, smiling and handing out cake. Her green dress flowed gently as she moved. She looked tired but happy. Grayson stood watching her. His brown eyes were full of love. The hard choices from his past didn't seem so heavy anymore. Leo looked at Grayson. Their eyes met. In that quiet moment, Leo thanked him without saying a word. They weren't just uncle and nephew now. They were family. After the party, Grayson found Naomi by the lake. Her tied hair caught the golden sunset light. "He's happy," she said softly. Her voice shook just a little. Grayson stepped close. His shirt made a gentle sound in the breeze. "It's because of you," he said, looking at her with love. There were many words they didn't say, but their hearts felt them all. Grayson knelt down in front of her. His face looked serious and gentle. "I didn't come just to help with Leo," he said. "I came to ask you to be my family." Then he asked, "Will you marry me?" Naomi's brown eyes filled with tears. Her hand touched his face. "I think Sierra would say yes," she whispered, nodding as happy tears ran down her face. They hugged as the lake showed their reflection, a picture of a new beginning. The next morning, Leo ran to a nearby grave. He wore his blue hoodie, and in his hands he held a drawing. On the paper were 3 people under the sun. It said, Uncle Grayson, Mommy Naomi, and me. He placed the drawing gently on Rowan's grave. His green eyes were bright. Naomi and Grayson followed him. Naomi's green dress looked soft next to Grayson's navy shirt. "He wanted to show his daddy," Naomi said quietly, her voice full of feelings. Grayson knelt next to Leo and put a hand on his shoulder. It was a promise to always remember Rowan. The cemetery didn't feel so sad anymore. It now held some peace. Back at the lake house, Leo sat on the porch and played his violin again. The music floated over the water. Rowan would have loved that sound. Naomi stood by the kitchen window. Her hair was still tied neatly. Behind her on the wall was her framed MBA degree from night school. It showed her strength and hard work. Grayson joined her. His eyes were proud. "You've given him everything," he said. She smiled. Her eyes were warm. "We did it together." Their foundation grew strong. Leo did very well in school. He wrote essays about his happy home by the lake. Celeste had gone to jail, and the old Hale company was gone. All that was now just a story from the past. As the sun went down, Leo ran into the house, excited. "Can I play for you, Mommy?" he asked. Naomi knelt down, her green dress spreading around her. "Of course, my love," she said. She looked at Grayson. The sweet sound of Leo's violin filled the room. It was a song that connected the past and the present. Their lakeside home, once a place built from pain, now stood strong because of love. Grayson, Naomi, and Leo were no longer a family because of a name. They were a family because of their hearts. This was a story of love, kindness, and second chances. A story of hope floating softly over the water. As we finish this part of the Hale family's story, we hope you enjoyed Grayson, Naomi, and Leo's journey. What part did you like most?